Hello YouTube, Snowflarky's Emos, and it looks like Master Duel has dropped yet another Forbidden and Limited List update. We just got one at the end of August. Looks like we're getting one now at the end of 30th. So I thought I'd do a quick video taking a look at it, maybe giving my thoughts on what I'm seeing here. First off, we're starting with cards to be forbidden. Kriston, Hackley, Fibrex. Perfectly good card to forbidden. This card is just about in every good deck. Creates really long combos that are a lot boring, very boring to have to watch in best of one. And there's going to be a lot of decks really hurt by this, but this card is just played in so many good decks and so many of the best decks that perfectly fine seeing this card forbidden. I'm so tired of seeing this card. I don't mind this at all. Next, we're looking at cards to be limited. Watered Enchantress of the Temple. That's pretty interesting. Um, I believe we already did some hits to the adventure stuff. I believe Rite of Aes Messir is like at 2 still. Kind of an interesting decision to limit this one and semi-limit that. Kind of seems like the reverse might be more useful. But, you could still use it a little bit. Just see less of them, less consistent. Perfectly fine. Adventure stuff kind of bores me. So, I'll take anything, even though, maybe it's still playable. And you know what? That's fine. Let it still be playable, perhaps. Spellbook of Judgment here. This is to, of course, push the new Spellbook structure deck that's coming out in a couple days. And pretty interesting. I kind of wish TCG would experiment with Spellbook of Judgment at 1, because yes, it's a powerful card, but I don't know what Spellbooks are going to do. You think this card's going to make Spellbooks a top deck? No. Does it make them better? Sure, let that happen. Let's try to see what it'll do. I kind of hope TCG follows suit with this. Kind of interesting here that it says that you will not be craftable or available in Master or Secret packs. That's kind of, that's really lame, honestly. We'll see. We're getting later in Master Duel's life. It might be time to see some of these more malicious accessibility practices coming in. So there's something to keep an eye out if we're going to see more of this becoming standard place. Especially if this is a way they decide to release new cards and they do it only in a way that can not be crafted. That would be something to keep an eye on. So. And then we have cards to be semi-limited. There's a lot of cards that are semi-limited, and honestly, unlike most Yu-Gi-Oh players, I actually really like semi-limits. I think it's a good way to just give something a light tap without, just completely removing it or making a one-off sacky card. So it looks like cards that are actually moving down. We got Rivalry of the Warlords and Goes in Match. You know me, I play bad decks. I need these floodgates to win with the bad decks that I like to play. So seeing them get hit always is kind of a little bit of a bummer, but this is perfectly fine. Moving it down to 2, you just see it less. Decks that rely on both, you're going to get the combo less off, and that's perfectly fine. Honestly, I think if people are having an issue with how good floodgates are, I do think a card that should be looked at over this is Solemn Judgment, because I'm kind of curious if the real problem is that just like your floodgates are so easy to be protected with access to cards like 3 Solemn Judgment and whatnot that honestly that's what I've honestly felt when I play these decks is the real strong card is the fact that once I get these floodgates up, I have Solemn Judgment to protect it, and then I pretty much guaranteed to win the game because they can't even out it. So we'll see, but these will still be good. I'm perfectly fine reducing them to 2, especially since so many of them are interchangeable. Interesting that Teekboo's not here. But I guess the thing about Rivalry and Gozen over Teekboo specifically is that Rivalry and Gozen are much easier to slot in better decks, like combo decks, because it's really hard to find a deck that synergizes with Teekboo and then can play Teekboo. Most decks are turning themselves off like that, so I don't think it's as easily accessible as Rivalry of Warlords or Goes in Match is to just shove in already a decent deck. And that's always when floodgates get tricky, so when they're in a decent deck. So again, this will definitely be hurting me, but this is a hit I can accept. Especially in Master Duel with our card of Demise is still at 3 and stuff, so my monkey decks are still going to be getting these cards pretty easily. Raigeki moving up to 2. Kind of like this. Going second tools, I like, especially because I'd like to pivot some decks completely into a going second playstyle, and while Raigeki is negatable, it still like forces a negate or wipes a board, and that's just pretty sweet. Um, I always get stomped by this in my paper dueling group because Raigeki's at 3. So definitely, worth moving up. Let's see what it does. Trishula from 1 to 2, fine, whatever. What's Trish? Trish ain't doing too much. Let him have one more. Zenmaity up to 2. Cool, little boost to wind up. I don't think it's enough to mean anything. And actually, Master Duel might be on the OCG style ban list where Hunter is banned. So I don't know. I mean, this still isn't going to make wind up do anything. So you might as well let him have it. Like, let him, let's see. Now, Buster Dragon to 2 is pretty. This is a little more notable than these other two extra decks because ABC is still kind of solid. ABC Buster Dragon is still a pretty good boss monster, and having a second copy is really nice. ABC people are going to be happy with that. Not looking too forward to having to see more ABC. Just because, I don't know, I'm not interested in that deck. But, whatever. It changes things up, gives ABC a little boost. We'll see if this is enough. I don't think it's enough to make ABC a real powerhouse contender. We're a bit past that. But, so you might as well let's just raise it up and see what happens. And Trickstar Light Stage, super interesting. Cool. Opens up a little more possibilities for just jamming a couple Trick Stars in some other deck. Trickstar Light Stage is a pretty good field spell, so bumping it up to another copy is pretty cool. I'll be curious to see if this is going to bring, if I'm going to start seeing this on the ladder. We'll see. This is the kind of stuff I want to see, though. Like, I think Trickstar Light Stage at 2 is fine, and I just want to, I'm curious to see what will happen. So these are definitely good upgrades. Red Reboot. Uh, moving this up definitely to me seems like more of the answer if people are really think the trap card floodgate based decks are are too strong. But this card, man, I do not want to see this card because it is just such an intense blowout. And, there's a lot of like, maybe floodgates are kind of a blowout. But the thing about Red Reboot as a blowout is like this card is completely unrespondable. And trap card based decks aren't like monster based decks where you generate advantage to do it on the crack. So this card just single-handedly wins. I mean, maybe we just want to get trap cards out of the game completely and then like we can have Red Reboot. But I don't know. I'd rather trap card decks be playable in some capacity. Now, given Master Duel's best of 1, I think there is an element that even if you move this up to 2, until trap card based decks are a majority of the decks on ladder, are you really going to throw this in your deck? Um, because then you would just have a dead card against other matchups. And the fact of the matter is, while trap card based decks, especially floodgate decks, are on Master Duel and you do run into them, I still don't find them to be a majority of the decks I'm going up against. And as long as that's the case, I really don't think Red Reboot will be played. But it definitely seems like it's moving up a little bit to maybe answer people's complaints about the trap card deck problem. We'll see what happens with this. Uh, is very scary. I'm gonna have to start reviewing my Red Reboot counterplays. Pankratops to 2, crazy good card, Pankratops, and honestly, I like this. Uh, I know a lot of things are gonna jam Pankratops, but with Pankratops at 1, a lot of people don't cut it. So like, are they gonna play it now that they can play 2? Maybe. And you know what? Let's find out. I think it'll be a good card. It'll definitely make some powerful plays, and it helps out rogue decks a lot more because, it just gives them access to another good, easy to summon card. Um, and I'm all for that. Yes, better decks can use it too, but like we're not really seeing too much Pankratops at 1. And talk about a card that can out things like skill drain and stuff. Like you can literally just summon this and pop the card. This is a good card to have back if we're worried about floodgate-based decks. So this might be incredibly powerful. I think it is going to be strong, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to be problematic. And this is kind of the time that I want to see. So I like this. Maybe I'll regret it later, but that's fine. I mean, if we're just getting another list in like a month, there's no reason that couldn't be done anytime. And if this proves to be a problem, you can go back down. But I'm very excited to try this out and just see how good 2 Pankratops is. Spiral quick fix to 2. Pretty nuts moving this card up once. Spirals have so much on Master Duel. I'm thankful nobody plays them because I don't like facing down Spiral. And this might draw a little more eyes, especially now that the Kriston is gone, because Spiral is a combo deck that combos a lot without even without the Kriston interaction. And those combo decks might be more popular now that ones that were more centered around Hulk are hit a little bit. So we'll see. Double Iris Magician, sure. Let's boost it. Arcus Harp Horror, sure. Cards that Double Iris Magician, I'm not too worried about. I'm not too worried about Pendulum Magician or things like that. Arcus Harp Horror is pretty good, but you know it's gonna boost a deck that is all right, but like the deck isn't really played. It's not meta. Let's bump up Arcus Harp Horror and see if it makes it playable. And maybe it's really good, and you know maybe that's fine. We'll see. I don't think there's anything wrong with boosting this card up to see if this deck gets good and playable. And then of course if it's just too much, then you can just move it back down. So I generally like this. I like this kind of testing period, trying to see things that have been out of the limelight for a while. Time has moved past them. We're gonna see if we bump their cards up and they still compete. So pretty cool. I'm down for that experimentation. Next, two cards that are going to 3. The Beginning of the End and Harmonizing Magician. Again, more cards to play with Pendulum Magician. That's fine. I don't even really know what Beginning of the End is. Well, you have 7 or more dark monsters in your graveyard. Banish 5 dark monsters from your. Oh, okay. Well, you know, whatever. Yeah, I've never seen anybody use this card, so go for it. So yeah, that's pretty it for the list. Overall, pretty solid list. You know, I like Kriston being gone a lot. I like reducing the adventurous stuff, and I like bringing some of these cards back that are just in decks that nobody plays and are not good. And we're seeing if giving them back some cards makes them better. My floodgates get hit, but 2 copies still perfectly fair. Still plenty of access to them. I'm okay with this, especially because these cards are notably stronger in Master Duel's Best of One. So I get the complaints and whatnot. Nobody wants to run MST, and the truth of the matter is just because these decks aren't a majority of the ladder, so you can't really afford to run spell and trap removal, or else you're going to be dead in most of the games. But when you lose to these, it feels bad. But I don't know. It's one of those things where like I don't necessarily like ever really punishing decks that are not the best decks, and I don't think the Rivalry and Goes and Match decks are the best decks. Now they say they base this on data, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't really play a lot at the highest rank. I mostly D rank a lot to just make it easier to grind some gems. Do the climb from silver every time because I want all that gem value. Uh, with ease and the ability to do dailies with ease. So we'll see. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So that's kind of my thoughts on the ban list. Just a quick little video about it. Let me know what you think. I'd love to chat about it in the comments below. Thanks for checking out. Catch y'all in the next one.